Welcome to the Cryptonometron, and today we're looking at another ICO. This one, it's on the NEO platform. I think this is the first review I've done of an ICO on the NEO platform, so this should be good. And this is on the Neon exchange. Now, what is it? It's a decentralized exchange for your cryptocurrency. It's also going to be a payment service creation as well, and it's going to be a little bit more complex than the current crop of decentralized exchanges such as Ether Delta or IDEX, and we'll see why during the review. So sit back and enjoy my Neon Exchange ICO review. So who are the competition for Neon Exchange? Well, the typical decentralized exchanges include Ether Delta, as we see here, which is probably the oldest and most heavily used one so far, but competition's following hot on the heels of Ether Delta in the form of IDEX exchange, which again is another decentralized exchange, but they are based on the Ethereum platform. So Neo is a different platform and requires different system. So the only one that I could come up with is Aphelion, and Aphelion launched an ICO quite recently and sold out fairly quickly. Now, Aphelion is also going to use the Neo blockchain and provide a decentralized exchange for Neo-based coins, or NEP5 coins, I think they're called. So slightly different from the Ethereum ERC20 tokens, but essentially, Aphelion are going to try and provide a decentralized service. They don't have any exchange available yet. It's coming soon. So we'll need to see how they do. As far as competition is concerned, they don't have a lot. Neon Exchange doesn't really have a lot of competition in the space. And this is good because they will be one of the first Neo decentralized exchanges, and it will allow us to move away from the typical outdated and antiquated centralized models. So the problems they want to solve I've split into two categories: centralized exchange problems and also decentralized exchange problems. And the first one we'll look at is centralized exchange problems. The first problem is obviously they can be hacked. As we've seen in the case of Mt. Gox, it got hacked and all the money was lost. Any centralized platform can be hacked. If the hacker's good enough, they can hack it. It doesn't matter what security measures you implement, you're always at risk of being hacked. And that's one of the main problems with the centralized system and why it's redundant moving into the future. And that's not only for exchanges, that's for any platform that's centralized, built on a central server, on a central database. It can be hacked. Number two, the exchanges, the centralized exchanges, set and enforce arbitrary rules. They make up the rules as they go along, as we've seen with Bitrex and Binance and some others. They can shut your account down, seize your funds, they can stop registration, stop people using it effectively, and that affects the price of the currencies as well that they're trading. So they've got all these rules that they can enforce and whenever they like, and they can also bring in arbitrary rules as well whenever they want. Number three, your account can be locked at any time with no access to funds. Now, I'm not accusing any exchanges of actually doing this, but it has been rumored to happen sometimes, and it's also a risk. If you have a central entity like a bank or a cryptocurrency exchange that is a profit-making enterprise, they have the final say over your funds. If the funds are in your wallet and you're using a decentralized exchange, nobody's got control over your funds. Number four, you face the risk of a loss of funds if the exchange shuts down. Now, it's happened before. Exchanges have shut down and you lose all your money. Any money kept in a centralized exchange will disappear if that happens. And number five, generally a centralized exchange will need greater income to make profits, as they have higher overheads and higher costs. So moving on to the problems with decentralized exchanges now. And the first one is that they are generally too slow to keep up with high volume order books. Now, Ether Delta was fine for a while when there was only a few of us using it, as is IDEX. But as the volume increases, the problems start to mount because the exchange can't cope with the volume. It doesn't update or refresh quicker, and that costs people money, especially people that have been using EtherDelta recently who have been doing transactions. The website hasn't updated, but it's accepted your transaction. You lose the fee for that transaction. So that's not really acceptable. So aside from the lagging issues and everything else that makes using the exchange and the interface very frustrating and not a pleasant experience, in general, decentralized exchanges are currently too slow. So Neon Exchange want to tackle that using an off-chain solution. Number two, there's no advanced options on decentralized exchanges like stop limits that you get on centralized exchanges. So you can't set a stop limit, go to bed knowing that if the currency plummets or something happens, if there's a bad news article, you're not going to lose your shirt over it. And number three, there's no payment service or funds management. So you can't use the exchange for anything else other than purely swapping your cryptocurrency over. So the aim of NEX or Neon Exchange is basically to provide a decentralized exchange service that will combine the Neo blockchain with an off-chain matching engine to enable faster and more complex trades than the existing solutions of decentralized exchanges. So they're going to tackle higher volumes. They're going to have a payment service which will enable third-party smart contracts on Neo to send and receive global assets such as Neo and gas as part of their computation. And they're also going to introduce complex trades like stop limits, stuff like that, limit buys, etc., that other decentralized exchanges currently cannot provide. So very simple aims. Let's dig a little bit further into how they're going to do this. So if we look at the market for the exchanges currently, there are many exchanges, as you know. BitThumb currently leading the 24-hour exchange volume with a little over 3 billion. There's Binance in second place with a little under $3 billion in 24 hours. Then Upbit as well, just with $2.8 billion. OKX, $2 billion, and Bitfinex at $1.87 billion. BitMEX trading only Bitcoin US dollar pairing at $1.7 billion. Huobi there with $1.1 billion. GDAX with $760 million of 24-hour trading volume. Bitrex with a surprisingly low $740 million trading volume. And Kraken again with $690 million in the last 24 hours. So we can see there is a lot of business to be done, even just looking at the top 10 most popular exchanges. And I believe, looking at them all, they are all centralized exchanges. So again, there's a lot of money to be made if somebody can make a decentralized exchange that actually works a lot quicker and handles all the problems. So referring to the white paper, you can see that they've already studied the market, and they quote that a daily trade volume of $60 million in January 2015 has grown to more than 8 billion in November of 2017. So the market has grown exponentially during that time. Personally, I expect it to grow even bigger. I think trade volumes of upwards of 20 billion, $30 billion by the end of 2018 are not out with our reach. So there is a huge market here. And as I went through the other centralized exchange models with their daily volumes of upwards of $3 billion, you can see that a proper decentralized model that's reliable, secure, and works properly can really get a big piece of this market. So just to give you a final idea of what sort of figures we're looking at, the news from yesterday about Coinbase, they actually made more than $1 billion US in revenue last year. And that's quite spectacular. Right, Coinbase isn't exactly a great exchange like some of the others, you know, Binance, etc. But it does provide a service, a much needed service. A lot of people use it, and it's generating a lot of profit. Now, decentralized exchanges, not necessarily there just to make pure profit, but it gives you an idea of the possibilities that can be achieved with a decent service. And I'm not You know, I'm not by any means saying that Coinbase is a decent service. I know they've got their fair share of complaints, but it just goes to show the possibility, and $1 billion really isn't to be sniffed at. So we know that the blockchain and smart contracts, firstly Ethereum, and probably the most notable version, enabled the provision of sophisticated, distributed, on-chain applications, and decentralized exchanges are an example of one of those. And over the years, what's happened is decentralized exchanges have gone from a order book on the blockchain model to a slightly more sophisticated model to improve speed and efficiency, and they went to what's called an off-chain relay. And what NEX are trying to do is actually do a hybrid system. So they're going to have the blockchain with a off-chain relay, but the trades are made on-chain, if you can understand that. So they call it matching, off-chain matching, and the bulk of the transactions will be made off the main blockchain. So that will retain the speed and efficiency of the whole model, but the trades themselves will be obviously committed on-chain. This means that they're going to have the speed and be able to handle the volume that current models cannot. So looking at the technology in a very light way, a light manner, they are going to do what's called modeling user balance. Now, they say here for the exchange to succeed, the smart contracts on the NEO platform are requiring some way to programmatically interact with global assets like NEO and like gas. So they've introduced a novel payment service layer that will convert global assets into smart contract tokens, which can then be easily interacted with by smart contracts on the NEO network. So users can convert their global assets into tokens by depositing them at the payment service address, then later withdraw them from that contract address, perhaps with a different balance if the trades have gone well or badly, whatever. And whenever their interactions with a third-party smart contract have been completed, they'll be able to withdraw them. So they believe this solution will generalize to other networks that combine this UTXO model. Now, the UTXO model is where funds are sent and received through a chain of spent transaction IDs on the network. So a little bit different from Ethereum virtual machine, which is based on an account model rather than modeling a user balance. So the white paper goes on to describe the differences between the calling of smart contracts between NEO and Ethereum, and also the way that consensus is achieved. If you know that Ethereum currently works on the proof of work algorithm and is going to perhaps switch to proof of stake in the near future, where NEO uses a delegated Byzantine fault tolerance, or DBFT, for achieving consensus. So both models are quite different. But the NEO exchange, importantly, will use a off-chain matching engine, as I mentioned briefly before, and this will allow the performance to be better. So all the matched orders will occur off-chain, and the actual trades will occur on the blockchain itself. This means that the exchange can work a hell of a lot faster than having all the transactions going on the main chain itself, which is one of the failings, as we discussed, of decentralized exchanges and their inability to handle large volumes. Just a word on the fee structure. They will be charging fees. Obviously, they need to maintain some sort of income to keep the platform active and to keep it developers interested and keep it going. The fees are there. Again, they follow the maker and taker fee structure, which is common with other exchanges. Market makers who place new limit orders on the order books pay no fees, while takers place an order at the marketplace or a limit order below the current market price will pay a small fee. And you can see there the fees range from about 0.13% up to 0.25%, depending on the volume of the user. The more volume that the user does through the exchange, the lower the fees will be. Some other interesting tech that they want to introduce is of course the payment service, and that will allow your NEO smart contracts to interact with assets outside of the NEO virtual machine. So for example, a user might use the payment service to make transactions across different chains, so sending Ethereum to a NEO smart contract, for example, and then distributing it amongst their friends' NEO addresses. So that's what they hope to achieve, but it's quite complex, so it won't be implemented straight away. The other thing that they want to do is have a decentralized banking model. So beyond the decentralized exchange, they are going to look at long-term a model of decentralized banking, which will be essentially a smart contract-based funds management service for assets on the blockchain. So referring back to the white paper yet again, let's have a look at the NEX token. The token will be a maximum total supply 50 million NEX. Now the important thing to note here is that you will be able to claim fees by staking the token. So yes, that's right. You will receive part of the profits, and the profits will depend on how many NEX tokens you own and also for how long. And obviously how much profit, the exchange is actually making. So there's simple calculations there. You can fiddle about with it and see what sort of money you can make. So this is a real advantage to owning and holding these tokens, rather than just being able to trade them on an ecosystem, for example. So they have a use. They will obviously be used to So on to the ICO details. Now, I have to state categorically that these are provisional details. Nothing official has come from the NEX website yet. So please wait until the official announcements, and they will let us know when the ICO is going to happen and all the relevant details. However, these are the details as I am aware at the moment. Now, they may not be correct, so please don't hold me responsible for any mistakes. So number one, the token ticker obviously is NEX, or Neon Exchange. The total supply will be 50 million NEX, of which 50% will be given to the crowd sale of the ICO, 25 million in total. The price is going to be 1 NEX to $1 US. And purchases will be made with NEO and gas, obviously, as this is a NEO ICO. As far as I'm aware, no other options for any other crypto purchases are on the table. Further, there will be no pre-sale. It will be an ICO only. So there'll be no bonuses. They have already contacted some other investors and had private sales to those, but currently there's no pre-sale for individual participants. The ICO date is still to be announced. They will obviously announce it on their Telegram or their Twitter, so keep your ear to the grapevine. There's no whitelisting on this one. It's first come, first served. So again, you're going to have to be quick and line up your trade. There's no soft cap either, so they're not seeking to raise any particular minimum. I think this is a moot point with this ICO. I think this will sell out very rapidly anyway, so not having a soft cap really isn't important. And the hard cap is obviously 25 million US, given that 1 NEX equals $1 and there is 25 million up for grabs. So how are they going to be distributed? Well, 1% is going to the ESOP, 4% goes into the company fund, 10% will go to partnerships, 15% will go to the NEO Council, 20% will go to founding partners, and they will be out of circulation, but with a slow release over a 2-year period. And then, as I mentioned, 50% goes to the public ICO. So you can see there on the right what I discussed in the last chapter. Transaction fees from the trades are sent to a combined token pool, and then Peter, who will be trading, is rewarded from this pool in tokens for staking the NEX in his wallet, giving him additional revenue. And that really is where the value comes from the NEX token. There doesn't seem to be a bounty campaign for this ICO. I'm not sure if they need one. They're already very hyped as it is, and the tokens will probably sell out rather quickly, given there's only 25 million of them up for grabs. So bounty campaign really not that important here as it is with other more advanced projects or difficult projects to market, I would say. And yeah, so if you know different, or you know that they've got some bounty campaign running or something else, affiliates or anything else, please post below, let me know in the comments section. So looking at what they call the preliminary roadmap, it starts Q4 last year with some smart contracts examples. For payment service and decentralized exchange, a demo of profit distribution mechanism was run on the testnet. They will have their token sale and open source platform launch in Q1 2018, so that can't be far away. As I said, pay attention for their announcements. The NEX token sale and release of open source platform for token sales on NEO. They anticipate in Q2 2018 they will launch their payment service on the mainnet for NEO and Gas, and also the matching engine will launch on a testnet supported by CLI. In Q3 2018, the trading minimum viable product will be released, and this will show the interface and matching engine launched on mainnet, and you can begin trading NEO, Gas and NEX. And then they will also have the cross-chain demo on ETH and NEO testnets as well, which is interesting. Moving on to Q4 2018, the cross-chain will launch and margin trading will become available. Cross-chain launch to support trading of Ethereum and Ethereum tokens. Also support for margin trading on mainnet. And then further, with an unspecified date, they will introduce the decentralized banking, which will be a smart contract-based management of assets with enhanced security and new investment opportunities. I'm going to very briefly look at the team in this section, and as you can see, the co-founders are all members of City of Zion, and they are the creators of the Neon wallet, as you may well be aware. And they've all been involved with the NEO project for a very long time, developing on it and creating stuff for you and me to use. As you can see there, Ethan Fast is the actual creator of the Neon wallet, a co-founder of City of Zion as well. Fabio Cannison, if I pronounced that correctly, is a research engineer at Schlumberger, and he's also a co-founder of the City of Zion. Fabian Wall, again, PhD, co-founder of City of Zion again, and Luciano is the creator of NeoScan and also another co-founder of City of Zion. So they've got very good backing from within the NEO community. They're obviously on the NEO Council. You know, some of the other team members, they are no less impressive, let me tell you. Again, you know, a lot of very, very heavy hitters in this team. I would consider this team personally to be an all-star team. It's not bloated, it's not overwhelming. There's only 12 members that are listed on the website, but as we can see down at the bottom here, you know, we have Da Hongfei, the advisor. Now he's the CEO of On-Chain. He's also on the NEO Council. He's one of the NEO founders, a very important advisor, as well as Eric Zhang at his right hand side there to have on board. So anybody that knows anything about NEO knows who Da is, and you know, will immediately see his face on this project and understand that they might want to get involved here. So I didn't see any information about any partnerships per se. I don't think this project needs any. It's going to stand on its own 2 feet, I think, but they are obviously associated with the NEO Council, NEO itself then by default, and also City of Zion, who built the Neon wallet. So those are the only real relationships that this needs to survive and grow, I think. They're already very hyped. I don't think that having any external partnerships out with those already mentioned would be of any great benefit, to be honest. Moving on to their community now, and they are prominent on Twitter. They have 17,700 followers. That's a fair number, let me tell you. So it's quite impressive, but that's really the only social media outlet they use. They don't have a Telegram as far as I'm aware, at least not an official one. They have a Medium, but there's nothing on it. And they also have a GitHub as well with 14 commits, as you can see there. So that's interesting, but most of their media is released on Twitter, so I would suggest if you need any news on them, follow their Twitter, make sure you don't miss any announcements. They are not that active on Twitter, as you can see. One of their last posts was 8 hours ago, but prior to that, January the 14th was the last tweet. So they only post when they need to, bringing you the updates as and when you require them. And now for my verdict. And first off, let's look at the positives that I see in this ICO. And now you've probably already gathered, if you've watched the whole review, rather than skipping right to the end like a lazy bugger, that I'm quite keen on this ICO. So let's go through the positives. Number one, and quite importantly, this is a game changer for the decentralized exchanges. It is a new approach. It's going to tackle a lot of the problems that are currently bugging some of the older platforms. With the technologies they're going to implement, the cross-chain swaps, the off-chain matching, the complex trades, they're going to really change the game up a level and really make any other decentralized exchange obsolete. You'll be able to trade with your NEP5 NEO tokens and also your ERC20 Ethereum tokens with the cross-chain swaps. It's going to be efficient and fast because of the off-chain matching solution, and also you'll be able to set your orders, stop losses, etc. So really this will be a game changer for the decentralized exchange platform. Number two, to compound what I said, is that it solves real problems. All the issues that I talked about in the third section of the video, and all the timestamps are below, guys, in the description if you want to go back and watch them again. It solves the real problems that are bugging the decentralized exchange industry and also the centralized exchange platforms as well. It tackles both, so it really does solve a lot of problems. Number three, needless to say, with Ethan Fast and Da Hongfei on the team, it's an all-star team and advisory body. You probably won't find one that's as strong as this, certainly not on the NEO platform, so I've got to give it, for as far as the team is concerned anyway, 5 out of 5 stars for that. I also like the fact that there is token staking. The token is specifically used to stake for rewards. You get paid essentially for the profits that the exchange generates. This could make the token rocket in value in the future. Number 5, it's a very good sign when they have a very low token supply. In this case, 25 million only are up for grabs during the ICO with a 50 million total supply. That's very low, and that is quite tempting. There's also a fairly low hard cap. The token price isn't as low as I would like it to be, but I think there is still a lot of potential for growth with the token price at $1. So a fairly low hard cap of 25 million isn't too bad in this case. Another positive that I see is it's built on the NEO blockchain. It's moving to a better technology than Ethereum, and therefore it can handle a lot of things that Ethereum will not or cannot currently handle. Number 8, another positive, at the moment there's a lack of real competition. Now the only other decentralized exchange that I know of is Aphelion that's going to handle the NEP5 tokens. There may be more. I know Kyber Network and some others want to implement the cross-chain swaps as well, but at the moment there's a lack of real competition. So if they can deliver, and I've no doubt they can, they've already delivered the Neon wallet as well as being part of the NEO Council and contributed to the growth and value of NEO. If they can deliver, then they're in a real good position here. Number 9, they've already tested the smart contracts. They were on testnet, as we saw in the roadmap section. And number 10, what I like is they have a vision further into the future. They're not just going to launch a decentralized exchange and say, hey ho, we've supplied the exchange, now we'll rake in the profits, and there you go. They're actually looking into the future. What can we build on the back of this? What can we bring in the future? And they've decided that platform swaps and decentralized banking are the way forward, and that could be a bigger market even than the decentralized exchange for them further down the road. Now, there weren't a lot of negatives for this ICO, so I'm sort of nitpicking here. The biggest one is they don't have a working product yet, and their implementation is going to be sometime in 2018, so we're some way off from actually being able to use the exchange. Now, it's okay saying, you know, we've tested smart contracts and we've done this and we've done that, but we'd really like to see it working. It would give a lot more value to the product. I suppose if you do manage to get in on this ICO, then you'll have to hold to get true value from your tokens until the product launches. And as such, this will be very difficult to participate in because of demand, very high demand for this and a low supply. This will sell out very rapidly. You'll have to have your finger on the trigger when the ICO goes live, no doubt. And due to the low supply, not many people are going to get in. And another negative is there's no ICO date confirmed yet. I'm nitpicking, I know, but I would like to know in advance so I could prepare. So what's my verdict? Well, I think this is one of the year's essential ICOs so far. I think you won't find many better than this, guys. Really, I don't. And for the reason outlined in the review, I'm going to give this one a very healthy 4.5 stars out of 5. I think the technology that they're going to bring to the decentralized exchange platform is going to really solve a lot of the problems that have not been dealt with yet. And I think with the all-star team that they've got, you can't really go wrong if you contribute to this ICO. And in saying that, I obviously will be contributing given the opportunity. I will at least attempt to, along with probably tens of thousands of others that try to get in at the ICO stage. Failing that, I will be picking some up off the exchanges, as I believe this one is good for the long term. And like I said, you won't find many better ICOs in Q1 2018. So that's the review finished, guys. As usual, I have to hit you with a disclaimer. So thanks for watching. Please click like, please subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please, you know, tell your friends about the channel. Let's help the channel grow. The more it grows, the more ICO reviews I can do for you. I'm trying to do one a day, or at least a video a day. So if you've got anything interesting that hasn't come up on my radar yet, please post it in the comments below. As ever, I am not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion, and this is for entertainment purposes only, guys. If you are going to invest in ICOs, beware, there is a risk. There's always a risk when you invest in anything. And do your own research, do your own due diligence, and always invest what you can afford to lose. And always invest wisely and always invest cautiously, okay? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.